Hello everybody, today doing a nice little bait demo again. It's become fashion these days when fishing for non-edibles to make nice round ball baits. So I buy these farmed Bonito from Edgar Marine. I'm sure a lot of other bait suppliers also supply them. So they're not fresh Bonito that we catch in our local waters. They're farmed imported Bonito, and I've developed a nice little ball bait, I call it, with these Bonito that works quite well in KZN for our non-edible fish. So I'm going to show you guys. It's a very simple little bait. It's quite popular among competitive anglers now, this ball bait, and I'll show you guys how I make mine, and hopefully that will help you when you're fishing for your non-eds. So what you need to do this bait, you can float it a little bit if you want, or you can just take a normal bait needle and shove your dingle through. I'm going to use a Berkeley Essential little dingles with a little bit of foam. If I want to float my bait more, I'll use one with a thicker foam, but for this demonstration I'm going to use this little one, which will just lift the bait a little bit off the ground and give it a bit of movement in the water. Alright, so as I said, this is a ball bait, so you want to end up with a nice round little bait when you're done with this. These round baits cast well, they're nice and streamlined, so as I said, it's a bit of a fashion the fishing industry is going through. So to start off with, I've got my dingle and I want to measure the length of my bait. So basically measure it there, cut the head off. Now what's important about this bait is that we've got the head part, so we've got the gills and the head part of the fish, and then we've got this piece of body, and down here we've got some guts and a lot of bloody parts of the fish. So that is very important, that it's like a half head, half body on this specific bait. And then the next job is to actually peel this bait. So we want to get all the skin and all the head, the bones and stuff off the head exposed. So we take the knife and we start peeling it. And it always works best with frozen bait. A defrosted bait is very difficult to work with. So it's a little tip: if you do this bait, make sure your bait's frozen. Get those gill plates off. Okay, so the whole idea is to get the gill plates off and expose the meaty part of the head. Now, what I like about this bait and what makes it work so well is the smell of this bait. This is a very smelly bait, a lot of flavor coming out of it, and I think that's the reason why it's so popular amongst anglers for non-eds. So as you guys can see, I've taken off all the skin. There's the gills, there's some guts there, and nice and exposed. So I'm just going to discard this stuff. Alright, so now we need to get this into a bit of a round ball. So first thing I want to do is measure the size of my bait again. So I'm actually going to cut off the mouth part of that bonnie, the beak. So we're left with that, and now all I want to do is shape this and get it nice and round. So this is a little bit of a cutting exercise of giving it a shape. Get it as round as possible. Okay, so as you can see, that is the head exposed, our gill part, and there's a bit of guts and the part of the body. And as this bait defrosts, I'm going to shape it a bit and get it more round. I want to do as much as possible with this bait while it's still hard and frozen, because as I said, when it defrosts it's quite difficult to work with. So for now I'm happy with that shape, and what I'm going to do now, I'm actually going to split this in half and then put my little dingle in it. So that's also going to release more flavors in this bait. All those juices from inside is going to come out. Alright, so I'm going to take my knife, split the head open down the middle. Look, all that flavor caught up on the inside of that bait, and that's key to this bait, is flavor. Alright, so now that I've opened it up a little bit, it's time to start putting everything together. Right, so I've got my dingle. I'm going to put it onto my hook now. It just makes building the bait or tying the bait on with the cotton much easier. Easy to hold because it's quite a slimy and slippery bait. So there's my cotton. The knife, put it in the bucket there. Alright, so I place my dingle in the middle of it, get it right where I want it, and the first half I'm just going to cotton in a bit. I'm going to put quite a lot of cotton on this section because I don't want it to slip when I cast. Alright, so after that one's on and centered, I take the next piece, put it back on, and then cotton that on. Right, and then something that's quite important with these type of baits is to cotton it on across the bait and across the hook like that, because when you cast there's a lot of force in that bait, and the last thing you want is for that bait to fly off in the air after you spend a lot of time building it. So I just put the cotton on like that, and that will make sure it's nice and secure on the hook. Center everything again. Alright, so as you can see, we've got that nice bloody head bait on, and as this is already a very, very good bait. But I would use this bait fishing in dirty water conditions. I want to attract the fish to my bait. I want the smell. This is not a bait about looks. It's a bait that you want to cast for, and you want it to smell good, give off a lot of flavor in the water. So this is what I'm going to add on to this bait. So all these pieces of head that I've cut off, I'm actually going to take my chock hammer and smash it a bit, and then I'm going to take all the guts and the bloody parts out the other bonito and add it onto this bait. Alright, so got all that flavor coming out. So the nice thing about these, I call them ad-can bonnies because I buy them from ad-can marine, is that they're quite cheap. So I don't feel too bad in wasting them, because by cutting all the belly section out of this one, I'm actually going to waste it a little bit. I'll cut the head off so that I can actually reuse that head later on my next cast. So there's enough there for another bait. Put that one side. But what I want here is all this nice bloodiness in the belly. So I'll cut the belly off. So as you guys can see, there's a lot of flavor there. Alright, so what I'm going to do now, take the chock hammer again and just bash this a little bit. Alright, so now it's just a question of adding all of this onto the bait, and at the same time keeping the round shape of the bait. like I always say, use your fingers to give the bait shape. Don't just put it on, squeeze it, and give it the required shape you want. Tell you what, this bait looks delicious. If I was a fish, I would eat this. Right, so there's a lot of cotton and a lot of time goes into the bait. So this is one of those baits that take a little bit of time to make, but I'm sure the rewards is worth it at the end of the day. And I like that belly section, that skin, like it after I smash it with a chock hammer. Also a lot of flavor in there. Okay, and then once again, I'm going to cotton across the whole bait like that. And then a few half hitches to finish it off. It's unbelievably bloody, this bait. Just look at all the juices running out just by me making it. So you can just imagine casting this bait into the water, and as it lands, it's going to give off a big bunch of blood and flavor. So you can have a nice flavor trail or oil slick in the water that's going to attract the fish. And then the amount of flavor in this, it's going to be so difficult for fish to say no to this. So there it is, guys. I call it my Adcan Marine Farm Bonnie ball bait. And try it. I promise you it works well for your, especially your flatfish and your non-eds.